The click of my wedding ring against the mahogany nightstand was louder than a gunshot in the suffocating silence. I watched it spin, a golden blur reflecting the muted lamplight, before settling with a dull thud. My wife, Amelia, flinched. It was almost imperceptible, a tremor that ran through her like a current. But I saw it. I saw everything. I'd been seeing everything for weeks. It started subtly. Late nights at the office, whispered phone calls taken in the other room, a new perfume clinging to her skin, a scent that wasn't mine. Then came the gut feeling, the unshakable certainty that something was fractured in our world. I started staying late at work myself, not because of extra responsibilities, but to tail her. To confirm what my heart already knew. The confirmation came in the form of a man, tall, dark-haired, with a smugness that made my blood boil. He met her at a dimly lit bar, their hands clasped over a corner table, their laughter intertwined. I watched them from across the street, the rain blurring the scene into a distorted, agonizing tableau. I wanted to smash something, to scream, but a strange calmness washed over me. I was going to play this long game. I didn't confront her that night, nor the next. I watched, I gathered evidence, I planned. I even booked a couples therapy session, a cruel irony that twisted my stomach, but provided me with the perfect stage for my final act. The night of the therapy session, I arrived home early, setting the scene. I laid out 2 glasses of wine, the good stuff we saved for anniversaries, and placed her favorite record on the turntable, Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. It was the soundtrack to our early days, a bittersweet reminder of what we had. When she walked in, her smile faltered. It was a practiced smile, one she wore like a mask these past few weeks. "Wine?" she asked, her voice strained. "Of course," I replied, my voice smooth, betraying none of the turmoil within. "I thought we could unwind before therapy." She took a sip, her hand trembling slightly. She hadn't taken off her coat, a dark trench coat that seemed to swallow her whole. "Everything okay?" she asked, her eyes darting around the room as if looking for an escape route. "We'll talk about it in therapy," I said, my gaze fixed on hers. That's when I took off my ring, the simple gold band that symbolized a lifetime of commitment, and placed it on the nightstand. The click, in that tense silence, was deafening. That's when I saw it. A flash of panic in her eyes, followed by a quick, almost furtive movement beneath her coat. When she emerged, her left hand was back in view, adorned with the platinum band she'd stopped wearing weeks ago. She'd slipped it back on, thinking it would somehow protect her, a shield against the storm she knew was coming. The therapy session was a masterpiece of controlled rage. I laid it all bare, the late nights, the secret meetings, the man whose name I now knew, Riley. I produced photos, text messages, even a hotel receipt. The therapist, a young woman with wide, startled eyes, looked like she was witnessing a car crash in slow motion. Amelia denied everything at first, stammering, pleading, her carefully constructed facade crumbling around her. But the evidence was irrefutable. Her denials turned into choked sobs, then into a desperate plea for forgiveness. "It just happened," she cried, clutching at my hand. "I don't know how. I love you, I swear I do." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw a stranger in the eyes of the woman I'd loved for 15 years. "You know," I said quietly, my voice laced with a chilling calm, "Riley called you earlier. He seemed quite concerned about our session." Her face went white. She hadn't known I'd gone to his apartment, hadn't known I'd confronted him, a confrontation that ended with him cowering in the corner, begging me not to hurt him. He'd given me everything, names, dates, details. He'd been so eager to save his own skin, he hadn't hesitated to throw her under the bus. I'd arranged for a friend, a lawyer, to serve her with divorce papers right there in the therapist's office. The look on her face, a mixture of shock, betrayal, and utter devastation, was almost satisfying. But the real satisfaction came later. Amelia lost everything, her reputation, her friends, her lavish lifestyle. Riley, fearing repercussions from his own wife, cut all ties and disappeared. The affair, once a thrilling secret, became a public scandal. She'd traded a lifetime of love and security for a fleeting moment of passion, and now, she was paying the price. I, on the other hand, found solace in the wreckage. The pain was still there, a dull ache in my chest, but it was manageable. I started rebuilding my life, brick by brick, focusing on my work, my friends, and rediscovering the things that brought me joy. I even started dating again, cautiously, tentatively, but with a newfound sense of self-worth. One evening, months later, I was having dinner with a friend when I saw her. Amelia. She was sitting alone at a small table in the corner, her hair dull, her clothes worn. She looked broken. Our eyes met across the room, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of recognition, of regret, perhaps even a glimmer of the woman I once loved. Then she looked away, quickly, as if ashamed to be seen. I didn't approach her. There was nothing left to say. I simply raised my glass in a silent toast, not to victory, but to closure. The click of my new wedding ring against the glass was a quiet affirmation, a symbol of a new beginning. The past was finally behind me.